Da. Good morning, everybody. Some of you thought I wouldn't be here, and I am here. Yes, Grant had one of the later nights he's had in a while. I was actually out till 11, but it was worth it. We'll talk a little bit about that. I'm super pumped for today's show. If I'm ever not pumped for today's show, you just let me know. I'm super pumped for today's show because we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, but we needed a platform to talk about this in the right ways. We need a platform to talk about the character required to live a sense of mission, to be on a mission. Am I talking about religious missions? Well, a little bit, but I'm really talking about the sense of purpose and the sense of drive that so many of you are craving. And yes, we've talked about the space required. Have you made the space in your life for mission? Yesterday, we actually talked about elements, the two core elements that make up a mission, and that's an external thing. What makes up a mission? Today, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about character, and I'm just going to touch on two quick elements. But before that, we've got other news. Yes, we've got other news that has nothing to do with the heated political and heated economic messages going on out there. No, we're talking about other news that should be uplifting, encouraging, that gives you insight to what's going on around the rest of the world. Remember, Spark citizens are first and foremost cosmopolitans. Good morning, Root. I hope you're doing fantastic this morning. Root is truly a cosmopolitan. But yeah, education and news stories that are uplifting, educating, and help you make sure that you keep a pulse on what's going on around the world, because it's not just all about what's going on here. So we're going to cover other news. And then before any of that, you know that no matter what day of the week it is, we need to share a warm cup of gratitude. What are you grateful for? I want to hear in the comments. I want to hear in the chats what you are grateful for this glorious, glorious morning. I'll tell you what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for two quick things. I'll start, and obviously I want to hear your gratitude moments, what I'm grateful for this morning, my lovely people. I'm grateful, number one, for my awesome partnership with Power Team Adam and Britney Welchel. And if I did not confess this, someone else would confess this to me. Adam and Britney, as a power team, they've worked hard on hammering themselves, which is the theme and was a seed of the theme for which I'm talking about today. Adam and Britney have hammered their character. They've hammered who they are. They've hammered and shaped and worked at their skills. And as such, Adam and Britney have become such a power team. They've blown right by me in their efficiency in business. They've blown right by me in their impact as parents and community leaders. These guys are the people to watch in my book, and I've got a lot of respect for them. We had our partnership meeting. We love sharing profit together. We love sharing time together. And it was just a phenomenal evening. And they even dropped some bombs on me that I will be implementing today, down to how I'm handling some social media, down to a brand new service me and Marissa will be rolling out for Spark Sites and all the awesome mission-driven entrepreneurs and impact-driven entrepreneurs that we're going to be working with. We've got an awesome feature that we'll be rolling out for them just because of our conversation with Adam and Britney. So I'm grateful for that. I'm also grateful for this quote, and you've got to stick with me for this. Right now, I'm being massively impacted by this book sent to me by my mother, The Road to Character by David Brooks. I've got two books by him, and I cannot speed read this. You guys know who were here for the episode on speed reading. I love speed reading. I can go through content like it was nobody's business. But when it comes to shaping who you are, pump the brakes. We can speed read for nearly technical information, for industry news. We can speed read for the latest pop culture book that people are just throwing at you. But when you encounter something that you know is shaping you, as my mom sent me this book and it's shaping me, you got to pump the brakes. And here's what I pump the brakes for. You got to hear this quote. It's fantastic. Service is not something you do out of the goodness of your heart, but as the debt you are repaying for the gift of life. Service, I'll say it again, service is not something you do out of the goodness of your heart, but as the debt you are repaying for the gift of life. Let that sink in. Joe Childs jumps in, the lovely Joe Childs, As iron sharpens iron, effective partnerships. Let me tell you something. I had the honor to be in some small position in Adam and Brittany's lives, both independently and then together. One moment I totally flopped when we tried to do marriage counseling. And it was that encounter that I realized I'm not meant to be a marriage counselor. But they went on to do their own thing. And we did book studies back in the day. And we pioneered some small things. And these guys took off. And now they're sharpening me. So Joe Childs, you are 100% correct. Iron sharpens iron. Good morning, Tammy. Thank you for the like this morning. I hope you are doing fantastic. So guys, that's what I'm grateful for this morning. What are you grateful for? What is just burning in you that you could, if you just sit and ponder? I think I saw Jessica Ojeda post yesterday, the gratitude that stirs you to emotion, that stirs you, and you just well up and just think, oh my gosh, I'm good. I'm happy. I'm touched. I pray for you today that you experience that level of gratefulness, gratitude for where we're at. I hope you're not going through life numb. I hope you're not going through your cause numb, your business or your job. I hope today you are going ignited. Let's cover just two small pieces of other news. Let's do this. So, in a well duh this morning, SpaceX has over 10,000 subscribers to its Starlink. Why is this important? Why do we care? Well, you should care for several reasons. Number one, for any of you tools who remember the screech of a landline connection, and then mom would pick up the phone. Mom, I'm on the internet. For any of you people who are alive today who remember this craziness, the first thing you need to pay attention to is that we're shooting internet to people in backwater Alaska with just satellites called Starlink. So first off, just be grateful that we live to see some of that craziness. And the implications on a humanitarian or missional level is that people in remote parts of the world, they just got a tilty whirl and point their satellites to people that have never had internet. And some of them who cannot even read. They will be able to speak to their assistant and say, hey, Google, and instruct it or have it translate how to plant the best pumpkin seeds or tomato seeds in my area. And Google will tell them, and they can be illiterate. For the people who will open up YouTube and learn how to bring wind power to their neighborhood so that they can study STEM and engineering in a hut in Africa. That is why if that's alone is why this article is amazing and why this piece of news is newsworthy. It's those things alone. It's the people who have been left out of the technological surge and stratified from a development perspective now are getting rapid access to the internet. We have only touched, I think, a half of the world's population yet. Think about that. Think about the economies that have grown, the businesses that have popped up, the opportunities that have happened for the down and out, as well as the person on top. Think about that. Now double that. And they're all having kids. Starlink is making that happen. Another reason this is important, each of the 10,000 paid subscribers, well, many of the 10,000 paid subscribers come in at roughly $99 a month from the developed world. That means millions of dollars are being made available through the government's Rural Digital Opportunity Fund. This is getting 100 upload speeds, 20 megabits download speeds, per second connections, 31 milliseconds of latency for 95% of the connections. This is huge because it is funding the digital revolution in the rest of the world. This is an example of business as mission. Elon Musk's Starlink is charging $99 a month to those who can afford it. And to those who cannot, it's that $99 fund is paying for the others to actually have access. This is what pure business's mission was meant to be. I've dropped the link in the chat. Check that out. Pay attention because Starlink alone, if SpaceX is a billion-dollar company that has yet to go public, Starlink alone could spin off its own IPO and be its own billion-dollar company and bring Wi-Fi internet to the rest of the world from space. That's no landlines. Think about this. You don't need wires in the ground damaging the world. So check that out. Awesome piece of other news, uplifting piece of other news that Elon Musk is doing business as mission better than many of my faithful counterparts and doing that model well. It's a great model for those of us who are faith-driven that are paying attention to business's mission. In other news, number 2, what are humanitarians doing at an extraordinary leveraged rate? Check it out. Long story short, humanitarians have rallied at a mind-blowing pace in northern Syria. You see, for those who kind of fell off the news radar when we started looking at Wall Street bets and different things going on in the capital and all this, we forgot that gunfighting and war in Syria, infighting in Syria has displaced nearly 21 million people. And sometimes we forget about that. We know about the Syrian refugees in Greece and all this stuff, and that's kind of faded off the radar. But there are still approximately 21 million people displaced. Specifically in an area of northwestern Syria, there's nearly 120,000 people in approximately 304 different refugee locations and camps. And that's been a good effort for the UN and different humanitarian organizations supporting this many people. It's been a phenomenal effort, often underfunded. Recently, there's been massive flooding. When you think of Syria, you don't think of a lot of water. You think of desert, but there's been massive flooding. And for those who have actually set up life in these refugee camps, a lot of them, I think approximately 21,000 tents were damaged, and most of any livelihood they've been able to store, like foodstuffs or family heirlooms, were largely washed away. And that's sad. But the purpose of this article is to uplift you, because the humanitarian effort, because of connections today, because of things like Starlink, because of resources in a leveraged, connected world, humanitarians were able to rally and is rapidly replacing these tents at groundbreaking or record-breaking speeds. There's a lot of tragedy going on in Syria today. But in this piece of other news, the UN and their humanitarian efforts and their rapid response team have been able to support these people and put their lives back together in a breathtaking pace. If you care to read more about the often awesome efforts of the UN, by all means, check out the link in the feed or in the comments below. They're doing a lot of good work in the world. I think of my friend JD. I forget the group he went with to help with hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico. But anyone who's done work like this will tell you, you need people made of sterner stuff. You need people in the developed world who have access to time, the ultimate resource, and remote work. Those of us who are working remotely, we have access to location freedom, but also to a small degree, some time freedom. Even if you're working 40 hours a week remotely, if you control your output and you're putting in your time responsibly, you can still decide when you take your breaks. You can still make yourself available. And that's what a lot of these UN volunteers have done. And this piece of other news leads us to our conversation on mission. Not just missions. These humanitarian examples are powerful, but you could have mission in your work. You could have mission in your family. You could have just mission in your heart in your after-school program. You could have a sense of mission around a lot of things. But whatever your mission field, whether it's the mission field of the heart, the mission field out there, whatever your mission or your calling or your drive is, we talked about the 2 elements it requires outside for it to be a mission. We're going to talk today about the 2 requirements inside for you to be on mission. Let's talk about that. Dory Joseph, Dory Rodriguez Joseph calls me out. Sister says, "You did it." She said that because Dory Joseph saw a rare Grant last night. Grant typically gets up at 4 a.m. Grant typically leads a very optimized life, and Grant, to do that, goes to bed at approximately 7:30 to 8 p.m., and God bless my wife for putting up with that. Last night, James Joseph and Dory Joseph's brother-in-law, James's brother, Dory's brother-in-law, is a phenomenal musician. And yes, we hung out and did our partnership meeting with Adam and Britney at 1961. James jumps in and says, "You the man." James invited us out, and we were blessed with a fantastic performance last night by his brother. He played all of tons of my favorite hits. He is a phenomenal pianist. His crew, they had a 3-man band in this tiny little space, and it was mesmerizing. And also, I was drunk tired. I might have been a little tipsy. I might have had one too many drinks. One too many drinks is one, but I actually had 3 by the end of the evening. But that's not really the point. That's the point for Dory saying, are you even up this morning? And I am. If you ever have a chance to see JJ in the Spectaculars or Jason Joseph play anywhere, I recommend it. We had a phenomenal time. Let's talk about the 2 aspects of character required for mission. As a small preface to this, many of you seek to feel mission, but mission is not necessarily the passion-fueled, feel good that we often think about when we think about balance and ikigai. Or we have our craft and our life and our business, and we donate that in small amounts to, I don't know, inner city kids. And that stuff's all good, and it feels good. But we don't do that at the expense of our stasis. We don't do that at the expense of our very comfortable life. Mission, not necessarily foreign missions. Mission is not necessarily balanced. Mission is not necessarily passion-fueled and you always feel good. You see, those looking to mission are often looking to make an impact in the world. And if you want to make an impact in the world, you have to look squarely in the face, make an eye contact with the challenges that people face. I remember I was challenged with this when we were doing work in Haiti, and the first people experiencing leprosy that I had ever met. It's a little early in the morning to gross you out with this, but I was confronted with, am I willing to hug the leprous? Hug. Am I willing to hug those experiencing leprosy? Am I willing to shake hands with those experiencing disease? Am I willing to share a meal with, share utensils with people who have questionable things going on in their life? That is the questions that you face when you ask about questions of mission, uncomfortable things that other people are facing. You see, we've built our constructs, and good on you. You've built your fortress on a lake. Good on you. I've built my financial fortress in my own life. Good on me. We have so many comforts, and that's great. And that we should never dog those when we talk about a spirit of mission, a mindset of mission. Never, never, never. But we have to call out that we often ignore. We often, to get to the place where we're at, we've had to turn a blind eye to a lot of people pulling from us and asking things of us. And that creates kind of this cold heart in order to obtain the levels of success that we've sought to obtain. But what's going on in the world when you have something that makes you alive, whether it's Lori's dancing that we talked about yesterday, whether it's the work we did in Haiti, whether it's Marissa hiking, when we talk about what makes us alive, we also have to ask ourselves, well, you know, that which makes us alive is awesome. Where in the world does it match something in need? It's not always pleasant to look in the dark corners where need is. What's worse is you compound this with the ease of our developed world lifestyle. It's just easier to avoid uncomfortable situations. I don't like wearing a mask. Okay, I'll just DoorDash it. It becomes easier and easier. Oh, a homeless person is asking me for money. I'm wearing a mask. I can pretend to not see them. The biggest discomfort that a mission causes, though, is not necessarily that which is outside of us. The biggest discomfort that having a sense of mission, whether it's local or foreign, doesn't matter. Whether it's our business and our jobs, or whether it's that after-school program, doesn't matter. The biggest discomfort, the biggest unpleasantness that having a mission causes is facing our own flaws and self-centeredness. And that's a good thing. That's the purpose of serving. I offer to my old partner for the work we were doing in Haiti, can we quit calling these mission trips? like we're saving the world. Can we please start calling these transforming travel? Because it's transforming us. It's shaping who we are. Sidebar, Dory does say Jason Joseph is playing at Lakeland Improv. So for those of you who do want to check out Jason Joseph, JJ and the Spectaculars, by all means, check out Lakeland Improv tonight. Fantastic stuff. But as it pertains to mission, the biggest thing mission shapes is you. Britney has a phenomenal quote that I absolutely must pause and share. Britney says, life is not just the passing of time. Life is the collection of experience and their intensity. Life is not just the passing of time. Life is the collection of experiences and their intensity. Are you having experiences that are intensely shaping you? When you have dinner with friends, when we had dinner with friends with Adam and Britney, are we taking the time to speak life over one another that gives us a little bit of the goosies, makes us well up a little bit? Are we intentionally seeking to increase the intensity of that which is good and right in the world? I hope you are. The mission of feeling this life. Phenomenal quote, Brittany. So a lot of us are avoiding mission, and we have a life of ease, and that is good. We have earned that. For those who are working, well, some of us have earned it. Some of us has earned it, but our country today is starting to provide a life of ease for more and more people, many of whom, not most of whom, but many of whom who haven't earned it, but just we think deserve it. That's okay. But in this context, what I fear it is doing, it is causing us to not experience the character shaping that is challenge. The character shaping that is challenge. And this is the role that mission can play in our life. That in our modern world, we can find a mission, whether our after-school programs, whether our businesses, whether our jobs, whether a foreign field. Wherever it is, I hope you go where others refuse to go. Because the growth opportunities in business are to go where no one is. The vacuum and the hostility of space is where Elon went with his Starlink. Matching that with the backwater difficulty of bringing internet to backwater Alaska, the difficult place that Verizon and Frontier, named Frontier, they won't go to the frontiers. Named Starlink, they'll go to the stars, places people will not go, or where the businesses opportunities are. The same is true in your heart. The places others won't go and the recesses of their heart is where mission, a sense of mission, will take you. And to go places others won't go takes character. Let me tell you the two things you need internally to cultivate the feelings and fulfillment and passion that I think is mission. Here are the two things. And this is going to sound, for those of you who know me, this is going to sound way out of left field. But I love the fact James is on watch, and I love the fact Dory's around, because I think that they know my heart in this. I love the fact Brittany's watching, because I think you guys know where I come from when I say this. You should teach the young and yourself religion, bear with me, and the classics. And here's why. Religion and theology, when you are young-minded, I believe the takeaway as you mature out of your youth, if you were taught religion, as you mature, you will wrestle with the accuracy of the dogmas of faith. But what you'll absolutely carry away is ethics and compassion. I believe one of the many things that religion can get right is cultivating ethics and compassion. Is it required? No. I know a lot of people who carry compassion and ethics who were not raised in religion, but I do find it's more abundant. Ethics and compassion are far more abundant for those who were raised in a faith construct. So I do believe there should be some sort of faith construct when you are raising young people or when you are raising up young minds. Give them the structure of faith or religion. And by faith, I mean very broadly. That could be Buddhism. That could be, we've seen a lot of benefit of the structure of Scientology. We've seen a lot of benefit of the structure of even faith in some of the sciences. The rigidity of faith to a young mind brings stability to the world. The hope is that you raise them up to graduate out of those things, that we leave a lot of the dogmas behind, but we carry with us the benefit of ethics and compassion. My prayer for you is that one of the aspects you cultivate for mission is ethics and compassion, the kindness necessary to see the pain in the world, the compassion necessary to feel that pain and be compelled to move. Compassion, the word itself. Passion, when you think about the word passion, someone brought up a comment, and I don't know where you're at, but I want to address this really quick. Let me finish this thought, though. The word passion does not mean, oh, man, I'm passionate. The word passion means to suffer for something. To have compassion is to suffer with someone for the thing they're passionate for. Now, I see this as Facebook user, and I don't know if this is a question or a statement. Let me see who brought this up here. Let's see who brought this up. I'm not really sure of your name. One of the first premises to jettison is that your religion is the only way to be ethical. Quite possibly. I do not believe religion is the only way to be ethical. More often than not, in my experience, though, if someone was not at least raised at some point with exposure to a faith construct, and I don't mean religion, I did include that in my language, but I'm talking about broader faith. It could be Buddhism. It could be Shintoism. Some faith construct when you're younger has ritual. It has discipline. It has respect, not the dogmas. So one of the first premises to jettison is that your religion is the only way to be ethical. Absolutely. And that is as you mature out of a religion. And I think we should, because we're part of a society, and oftentimes religion teaches us to be separate. And I know this is a sensitive topic for those of you watching. But at some point, you let religion go and you keep that which is real. And there are many things that can be found to be real in faith constructs, many things. We have much to learn. And the context of mission, the feeling of the cause in the world, the feeling of fulfillment that you're making an impact, I believe what you need to keep from your religion is ethics and compassion. And oftentimes, especially being raised in the South, we only get exposed to that. We only get exposed to that through our faith constructs. But yes, you can cultivate that elsewhere. But I do want you to let go of the entrenchment of dogmas and politics, because this creates separation, and it is hard to become passionate. It is hard to suffer with others that we don't understand when we believe they stand on another political line, or when we believe they stand in another dogma realm. Drop those silos, but keep ethics and compassion. The second one is this, and this is so bizarre, but for those who are putting their kids through, I know the Josephs are putting their kid, Nanishi, through classical education. The second thing I think that you need, and this is going to sound way out of left field, is the classics. I believe you should be well read. I believe you should be absolutely reading all the modern material. I think it was not Tolkien, C.S. Lewis that said, I believe it was C.S. Lewis that said, between every new book you should read an old one. I believe you should be reading the classics. I believe it was Joe Childs, Dr. Joe Childs, who was on earlier. I don't know if he's still on. Dr. Childs once really spoke to my heart, because Dr. Childs himself is a very progressive Christian. He's a very open Christian. He's one of the best examples of a Christian I have seen in a long time. And I won't go into his history, but if you don't know him, you should know Dr. Joe Childs. But I've had a huge heart for this gentleman, because he is awesome on technology, but he still maintains his faith. And he works in a very conservative university. And Joe Childs and I were talking about the difference between progressivism in a university and conservatism. And he told me this. We were talking about shamans, and we were talking about the role of the shaman in the tribe anthropologically outside of the Christian context. But he said something. He said, The role of teachers and instructors of any college or university or any culture, the role of shamans in any culture is to encourage the young to run while holding one rein back so that they reflect on that which is old and more permanent. We're talking about character. We're talking about character. So why, when I mentioned that the first aspect of you living a life of mission should be pulled from your upbringing of faith or religion in anything, even if that's a faith in science, coming out of that is ethics and compassion. You need ethics and compassion. And then the other side of that coin is I believe you need the classics. Here we go. Why? And I believe you should graduate from the classics, but I think you need the classics in your life because you need an unflinching heroism in the face of what the world will throw at you. I see way too many weak-kneed people being raised today. I'm seeing that we're raising our kids far too gingerly, and I don't just mean bubble wrap kids and wear your seatbelts. I mean sterner stuff inside. The classics teach us illustrations of heroism, of facing daunting odds and not even winning. Today, we want to see our heroes face daunting odds, and that's a little good, but then we want to see them win. I want to see my heroes face daunting odds and see them sacrifice. Sacrifice. Sacrifice is letting things go of a lower nature to making room for things of a higher nature. I don't just want my heroes to win. Sometimes I want to see my heroes sacrifice. For you to live a fulfilled life of mission, purpose. Am I making an impact in these after school kids? Am I making an impact with my employees? These things are not often pleasant. So it takes a compassionate resilience. All of this to say, I do believe you need kindness, ethics, and compassion, and sterner, stiffer neck. We need a group of people, a generation of people that do not run to what is pleasant, but run to what is unpleasant. Oh, man, I'm procrastinating. Oh, look, and my numbers just fell off. You know you're starting to speak something when people are like, oh, I'm checking out now. I don't need this message. I got to go to work. I feel that. We need a group of people who are willing to run toward the challenges of this world. We see it in business, and the rewards are there. And you can do this as business, as mission, and I guarantee you will be happier. I just read a study today. That the statistics on a longitudinal study, meaning it's been going on for a long time with a large group of people, the results are in those who seek and seek pleasantness or peacefulness have a lower experience of happiness versus those who seek challenges have a higher amount of happiness. They might not have higher dollar rewards. They might not have higher comforts, but they have higher happiness. I don't believe it's always a binary decision. Not at all. We're talking about living a life of purpose and mission. I don't believe it's binary. If any of you know me, you know I do not believe in binary decisions, at least not often. But there are moments that are character-shaping moments that you will encounter even today as you go out there to do something unpleasant but good and right versus pleasant and comforting and weakness generating. I pray that you find just enough moments to shape a sterner compassion, a compassionate resilience, a stern kindness in the world, because the world needs you on mission. Listen, I'm out of here today. I bless you today. I hope you're having a fantastic day. No matter what you do today, I hope you remember one thing. Remember the mission. Igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own. Have a great, great weekend.